Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. The following interview is designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be. Stop wasting money on marketing and only do marketing that works. Order your copy of Don't Buy a Duck today. If you've ever felt lost, in need of a roadmap, if you ever wanted to get the right folks in the door and dollars in the drawer, you've opened the right book. Order your copy at www.don'tbuyaduck.com today. That's don'tbuyaduck.com. And now, let's begin today's Leadership Series interview.
Welcome to the Business Leadership Series. I want to thank you for joining us today. Today our guest is Amber Gustafson. She's the co-owner of the Ravington. She is a past life as a celebrity wedding planner in Los Angeles, California. Amber, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Derek. I'm really excited.
So can you tell us, you've got a unique story. I know you personally, but I've also been intrigued by your family story and by your entrepreneurial journey, and it's different than a lot that we've seen. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Thanks so much. So my husband, Eric, and I are high school sweethearts from Northwest Arkansas. And when we grew up and turned 21, we got married because that's what you do in Arkansas. So we got married, and my husband immediately dragged me to Los Angeles because his band was going to make it big on the West Coast. So he took me out there, and I kind of went kicking and screaming as an early 20-something, but over the years kind of found my footing in Los Angeles, and I had always known I wanted to be an entrepreneur and work for myself, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it took me most of my 20s to kind of figure it out. And in my late 20s, the light bulb went on that I would be the perfect candidate for a wedding and event planner. And so I started a company called Amber Events, and we did a lot of very high-end weddings and events all across the West Coast, a few destination weddings. And I'm very proud of the company that I built. And during the time that I was building a company, my husband Eric was doing well in the music industry and also working on the side as a Finnish carpenter, building really beautiful furniture, and his niche was reclaimed wood. He would take old wood and turn it into beautiful new things. So people would commission him to build gorgeous furniture, and he had a booth at the Pasadena Rose Bowl flea market, and he was doing well with that. And we renovated a house together, and then we had a baby. And when we had the baby, I said, I'm done in Los Angeles and I want to go home. And we made the plan together that we would sell the house that we had renovated, and we would come back to Northwest Arkansas and start a new life and raise our daughter around family and in a new world. And so the wheels were turning. It took some time. I sold my company, and as of now, I don't know of any other wedding planning companies that have been sold. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to sell Amber Events. It's still flourishing in Los Angeles, and I sold it to the associate that I had groomed from intern to assistant to associate, and then I sold the company to her. So Amber Events is in its 9th year. So I sold Amber Events, and Eric and I sold our home in Los Angeles. And before we came back to Arkansas, we actually took what we called our bridge, and we took our 2-year-old daughter, and we road tripped to New Zealand for 2 months. And during that time, while we were in New Zealand, we planned our future and plotted our future and dreamed about our future, about what kind of life we wanted. And it was a really magical time because we find that so many people in life get so caught up in the wheel of life, and it's like bills and mortgage and deadlines and things are due, and you're just kind of cranking, you're getting it done because you're spinning all these plates, and you have to keep food on the table, and you have to do this and you have to do this, and so you're just you're grinding away at the wheel, and you're not really stepping out of it. And this was a really magical time that we were able to get out of the wheel of our life and kind of look down at our life from 10,000 feet above and think, what do we want for our future? What kind of life do we want? So while we drove New Zealand with our daughter half the time wailing in the back seat, imagine the 2-year-old road tripping for 2 months, we would drive for hours and just write lists about what we wanted. And so we knew we wanted to come to Northwest Arkansas because the climate here is pretty much this magical bubble of flourishing economy because of Walmart and JB Hunt and Tyson and all of these startups, and it's just really this magical, beautiful place. So we wrote a list of what we wanted. We wanted to buy an old building, and we wanted to utilize our backgrounds and our passion and create something incredible with that. So that being said, we bought a 106-year-old building when we came back to Arkansas. We put the offer in 3 days after we came back because we'd written a list of what we wanted. We wanted high ceilings. We wanted something in Benton County to be close to the Walmart headquarters. We wanted something that had a lot of raw potential. We wanted something with history, and we wanted something that we could really just turn into something magical. So we bought this building. It's 106 years old. It's in Centerton, Arkansas, and we're 12 minutes from Bentonville. And we have been renovating it to turn it into a wedding and event venue. And in kind of like an easy person, like layperson terms, it's basically going to be going to be a ballroom. So we're building this beautiful ballroom that we'll be renting out for social events such as weddings, vow renewals, birthday parties, things like that, as well as corporate events and nonprofit events. So galas, fundraisers, things of that nature. And we are opening up in May, so we're not done yet, but we are booming with the energy that's happening. It's really exciting, and we're having such a positive response from our community around us. And we are incredibly excited, and I think everybody around us is pretty excited too. So that's where we are right now.
Awesome. If we can jump back to your Los Angeles days for just a minute, I know a lot of the listeners will be at a crossroads for themselves, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Tell me about, you said you spent almost a decade figuring out what it is that you wanted to do. What was that like to actually go from the corporate world or from working for somebody else and then to just taking the leap, especially in a big market like Los Angeles?
I tend to be a fairly safe person, but I also move very, very quickly. And by safe, I mean I kept my day job for a long, long time while I was building Amber Events. But when I finally got the light bulb aha moment that this is what I was going to be a wedding planner. It was I remember I came home and I told Eric, I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a wedding planner. And he said, that's so perfect for you. You're so bossy. he said, how do you do that? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. So I started kind of looking across the horizon of, okay, how does one become this? And so I started training in areas that I thought could help me, and it really helped me. On the weekends, so before I found my mentors in the wedding industry, I started working as a cater server for caterers. And I wanted to learn the background of food. And granted, in college, I'd worked as a server at a restaurant before, but catering for a large event is a different beast because you're feeding hundreds of people at the same time. And it really is it's kind of this magical thing that happens, or it doesn't happen and it all falls apart and people are angry and starving. And so I started training, and I was working my weekends as a cater server at a Persian Jewish temple in Los Angeles. And it was terrifying because I would serve scalding hot soup over a woman's shoulder and she'd be covered in fur and diamonds. It was terrifying. Wow. But then I found some mentors in the industry, and the word got around that I was a good assistant. And a lot of wedding planners started to try to hire me to be on their team and their staff. And I told them, I appreciate it so much, but no, thank you, because I'm building my own company, and in a few years, I'm going to be your competitor. And I was very honest with them, but very thankful and appreciative of the knowledge that they gave me. And I did become their competitor shortly after that, and they were my allies because I was always very, very honest with them. I don't believe in stealing other people's ideas. I don't believe in burning bridges. I really believe that if you're a good person and you're good to other people, it's going to help you in the long run. So those mentors are still some of my closest friends, and they cheered me on, and they just really supported me through the creation of my company.
That's awesome. There's obviously so many hard workers out there, but we're an immediate gratification society too. And it seems like a lot of people don't want to work up the ranks and do the dirty jobs or the assistant jobs to learn their way.
It's crucial. And maybe I feel like I'm kind of sounding like a crotchety old lady these days, but I'm saying like, these young kids, they just don't know what they're doing. Like there's such a there's so much to be said for learning the trade from somebody who really is seasoned in it. And yes, like, being an entrepreneur is definitely, you have a backbone and you take risks and you kind of learn as you go. And it's a lot of like fake it until you make it. And I believe in that. But I also really believe in doing some of the crap jobs at the beginning and really understanding, like, get a work ethic is really important. It's really important.
I mean, what other advice might you have for someone that is looking at going into their dream career and has not ever made that plunge?
Sure. I would say to never ever burn bridges. And then never underestimate the people in your community around you and what you can learn from them or glean from them, or just, they can be your cheerleaders, they can give you leads, they can really point you in the right direction. So if you're a stay-at-home parent and you're thinking, I really want to do something, it's not hopeless. You have this huge community around you. You have your church community, you have your parent friends. Like, if you start putting out there what you really want to do and you start working towards it, it's just amazing how things start clicking and falling into place. And it's like, there is kind of an element of luck to life, but not really. I think a lot of it is just really, really hard work and being positive and just blazing forward. Just move forward. Do something.
That's awesome. That's good advice. You mentioned earlier about, did you call it the wheel?
Yes, the wheel.
Tell me how important that bridge is, especially for the majority of us listening. We'll be able to relate to the wheel even if we love what we do.
It is crucial. Call it a sabbatical, call it a vacation, call it whatever you want. But it really is important to step away from your life and look at it and ask yourself, where am I going right now? Do I like the trajectory that I'm on? Do I need to readjust the compass? Do I need to scrap what I've been doing? Like, where am I going? And it's definitely, when I first started Amber Events, I wrote down goals of, I wanted to be making, I had these big goals, and it was like, I want to be making this amount of money per year. I want a celebrity wedding. I want people to know who I am. I want to have some media presence. And when I reached all of those goals, I got bored with it because I kind of hit the top. I kind of hit my ceiling. And I thought, the only way that I can, get bigger and better is if I throw my family to the wayside and focus, workaholic on this. And I'm not willing to do that. And so, it's like I got to the top of my game and I thought, I'm not, this isn't fulfilling me anymore. So there needs to be another move and another change. And thankfully, Eric and I were on the same team, same page, same team. And we are crazily enough starting a company together, which it's kind of wild for a married couple and partners to start a business because it's really, right. It's definitely not recommended for a lot of people. But we just decided, like, let's start a new life. We are building the type of life where we can be present for our family. We are basically co-parenting our daughter together, and we're expecting another child this summer, and we do it together. She's, she has this kind of like hippie upbringing because we're always just kind of like taking her to meetings or bouncing around, or it's just kind of this, it's kind of this crazy world, but it works for us. We're wanting to build this world. We're wanting to build a life where we can travel about 2 months of every year. So we're wanting to build the Ravington in a way that we have staff managing it, that we can. And with technology and this amazing thing called the internet, we can absolutely travel and still run a successful company.
Amber, that's exciting. Thank you for sharing your journey with us so far. When we come back from this break, I want to dig in more and ask you about the Ravington and the exciting things that you have going on in Centerton, Arkansas. We'll be right back.
Take a 5-minute complimentary marketing assessment for your business. Whether you're a startup or an established brand looking for more quality customers for your business, this confidential assessment will help you identify the next logical steps for appropriate marketing tools, strategy, and development for making sure your branding and marketing campaign is a success. Visit assessmymarketing.com today. That's assessmymarketing.com. And now, back to today's Leadership Series interview.
Welcome back to the Business Leadership Series. Our guest today is Amber Gustafson, co-owner of the Ravington and a celebrity wedding planner. Amber, let's talk about the Ravington, the building itself. I see the vision for this. I'm excited about it. I've had a chance to actually tour your building, and I think my favorite part about it is just the rich history of this place.
The history is so deep and so beautiful. So today, Centerton is thought of as a bedroom community for the community of Bentonville. And Bentonville is kind of, like the epicenter of the business in Northwest Arkansas. And today Centerton is filled with a bunch of subdivisions. But there is this tiny little strip on Main Street of about 5 historic buildings. And as we started digging into the history of our building in particular, and just the town of Centerton in general, we have learned so much that we're turning it around and making it part of the story of the renovation of the Ravington. So in the early 19 teens, Centerton was booming because of the apple orchards in Benton County. And it was a thriving community. There were many thousands of people living in Centerton. There were hotels, there were banks, there were schools, and there was our building, which is 293 North Main Street, and it was built as the original mercantile for the town. And it was the hardware store, the deli, the just kind of the epicenter of where the commerce was happening in Centerton. And in the 19 teens, an apple blight hit Benton County and destroyed the apple orchards. And the town of Centerton pretty much died because this crop died. And in the 20s, the Great Depression hit and further decimated the area, and the town shrunk to about 500 people. So over basically 100 years, the building has stood proud and strong. We've been punching through the concrete in the building, trying to put in walls, and it's the most solid thing anybody's ever touched. But over the years, it was some of the older residents of Centerton talk about buying their Levi's there in the 40s and the 50s. So the deli and the hardware store, and then in the 80s, randomly enough, it was a factory that created Lucky Rabbit Feet keychain, and I know we all had them as kids. I had a purple rabbit foot.
You had to have one.
That I would rub against my cheek, and yeah. So basically, the owner of this factory would buy dead rabbits from the Pelfrey's factory here in Northwest Arkansas, and they would take these rabbit feet and they would dip them in these huge vats of dye, and they would turn them into rabbit's feet, and to keychains. And I heard kind of through the grapevine the other day, I met an older gentleman who grew up here, and he used to ride his horse and hitch it out front at the there was a hitching post out front here.
Wow.
And he said that apparently, I think maybe PETA or some animal rights activists there was a lawsuit of some sort. So I don't know the true story on that. All I know is the rabbit's feet are no longer made in America, I believe. I think they're now made in China if they're still made. But after that factory, there was a beauty salon here. There was at one point there was a Methodist church meeting here in the building, and there was, when we bought it, it was an antique mall. And as we are renovating it, we are utilizing everything that we're finding in the building. Just the materials are beautiful, and the wood flooring that we're bringing into the building, we're bringing in a historical element in the fact that we took old vinegar vats from factories in Benton County, and we're milling them down to 8-inch wide planks, and we're putting down 6,000 square feet of hardwood flooring. And just the story of the beauty, the story of just, we're using these old vinegar vats that were used in this community to kind of, that's what the community was living on, was the apple industry. And the apples were used to make the vinegar, and now we're taking these vats and we're turning them into floors, and people are going to celebrate and dance on them, and we're really excited by just that story. So we're really excited about the renovation.
That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about the decor that you have and some of the pieces you're using and where they're from. I think a lot of that's really cool as well.
We are very proud of some of the pieces we're bringing in. So first and foremost, Eric and I are borderline obsessed with architectural salvage for so many reasons. One is the pieces are so beautiful. These 100, 200-year-old things that we're bringing in, and then two, wood isn't what it used to be anymore. I mean, just all of the materials are different now because we've things, just like wood is not as gorgeous as it used to be because we're bringing it in from these pine forests that are just quickly grown and then quickly cut down. So the decor of the Ravington is going to be a mixture of really beautiful historical elements with gorgeous modern updates. And we are keeping the Ravington a little bit on the neutral side in the interior. For instance, we pulled the plaster off the walls to expose the brick walls. And we're painting the original tin tiles ceiling. We're painting them white again and hanging chandeliers. But some of the things we're bringing in antique church pews from a church that are probably about 120 years old. And these pews that we're bringing in, we're putting them on wheels and we're painting them bright turquoise. And that's just kind of this little pop of color we're bringing in. And it's just kind of you can wheel them around and do whatever you want with these pews. You can put them out in our courtyard as, kind of benches. You can put them facing each other with a coffee table in the middle and have a seating area near the bar. We are building bars with some of the old 100-year-old wood that we pulled off some of the ceilings. And the bars will be on wheels and they can be wheeled around and put in any configuration as well. We are building a backdrop against one wall, and that backdrop could be used as either a ceremony backdrop for a wedding, or if it's a fundraiser or a gala, that could be the stage backdrop. But we have this incredible 200-year-old door from a palace in India that's 11 feet tall.
Wow.
And we named him the Maharaja because it's like he needs a name, because it's just the most beautiful piece of architectural salvage we've ever come across. We're bringing in these old doors and we're bringing in old windows, and we're building a wall of windows up in one of our mezzanine areas where you can still see out and people can see in, but it kind of gives an element of privacy. And there's just these old divided light casement windows from farmhouses in America, and it's just everything that we're putting in is incredibly thought out, very detail heavy, very authentic. For instance, one of the sink vanities in one of our 6 restrooms is an antique sewing table. And so we're mounting the sink on top of this sewing table with the big, beautiful iron base, and we're putting the faucet on there as well. So just the sink in and of itself is a piece of American history. It's a Singer sewing machine. And, 100 years ago, women were making their families' clothes on it. So every piece going into the Ravington is thoroughly thought out and special and beautiful and unique, and we're very excited about that.
You've painted a beautiful picture, but this is more than just a little renovation. This is a big project.
This is our magnum opus, we feel. We are building a 10,000 square foot art installation, we feel. We get a little crazy. We will go in at night, and we live very close by, so we go into the bottle of wine and we just design, and we get a little crazy, and it works. I mean,
Wow.
it works. We'll go in one night and we'll think, well, what if we put the stained glass windows up here? Oh my God, that's the most amazing. Like, why didn't we think of that before? It's really fun, and it's going to be spectacular, and we are very excited to share this piece of history with our community. And we're really in love with just being back home in Northwest Arkansas. We are really loving just this community of Centerton. It's very family oriented. It's a tight community. It has just a great community feel. We go to city hall meetings and town meetings, and it's just everyone is just very excited about growth and about a thriving community, and it's a great place to raise children. We're so happy.
So you sold a successful celebrity wedding planning business in Los Angeles. You uprooted, took a bridge, a sabbatical. You came here. You found the building of your dreams pretty quickly. I know there's always challenges in building projects, but were there any big surprises to you that might be of interest to just through that whole process that you weren't expecting? Or was it harder than you thought? Was it smoother than you thought to go through? Any advice you have about uprooting and changing your business and going into a whole new market? And just tell me a little bit about that.
It's definitely, I would say the biggest change for me personally has been a bit of an ego blow, but I think that it's a good thing. I think it's important in life to be humbled. It's been very humbling to be the new kid on the block in the wedding and event industry. And like you said, in Los Angeles, I was a celebrity wedding planner, and here in Arkansas, no one knows who I am. And so I'm now courting people and reaching out to people and trying to get them excited about our project, which they are, but it's like I'm courting people, and the tables have turned. So that has been interesting and humbling. And I will say that another big challenge that Eric and I have faced is commercial renovation is definitely different than residential renovation. And when you have two very artistic people trying to, so we're designing this ourselves. So we do have an architect. We do have an architect that did a lot of that did the foundation of like, here are the doors, here are the windows, but all of the actual design, Eric and I are doing ourselves. And so we'll come up with these incredible ideas and we'll take it to our architect, and he'll be like, you can't do that. That's against fire code. Oh, that's against code. And we're just like, and it's just kind of this crushing blow every time we have this amazing idea. And he's like, you can't do that. And we're like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? We just had the most amazing, like we had the most incredible design in the whole world. And we've had to go back to the drawing board about 5 or 6 times. Wow. Just on one section of the building, our our mezzanine upstairs, because we keep hitting this wall of that's not commercial code. You cannot do that. And I'm like, well, we're not a new metal building being built, and we're trying to build this with a very artistic flair. And so we get shut down pretty fast and pretty quickly with regards to staying within the codes. And that's been, it crushes the creative spirit pretty quickly. And so we go back to the drawing board again, and then we go back and present it again, and they're like, nope, not doable. And so then we are crushed, and then we do it again. So the design process has been harder than we anticipated, but it's still going to be, it is going to be spectacular, and we're thrilled about what it will truly look like when it's done, because I paint a great picture now when I give tours, and I have inspiration photos of what we plan to do, but Eric and I have a lot of surprises up our sleeves that we have some surprises coming that we can't even put into words what it will be like. We'll just be like, let's just wait till May 1st and people will understand.
Who's your target for this? Who would be a good fit for this venue?
So we have what's exciting about the business model that we're doing is we have a very wide net. We are currently putting our marketing money towards brides and grooms because Saturday night rentals are substantially higher than a weekday rental. So basically, we rent the property out as a whole, and we rent it out basically by the day. So we can only rent our property out one time in a 24-hour period. So we have different levels. Weekdays are substantially less. Weekends are higher. So our marketing money is going towards brides and grooms because that's bigger money coming in. But we are booking really well and really quickly right now in just the nonprofit sector. Wow. We have Northwest Arkansas has the most charities of any other community in America because this community tends to be fairly flush with cash. And we are booking a lot of Thursday night and Wednesday night and Friday night events for charity fundraisers. Wow. And so we're going to have 300 important people in the community in our building celebrating and donating to a really great cause, and their daughters will be getting married in the next few years most likely. So it's kind of this great it's kind of a great situation. Also, we are setting ourselves up to be very turnkey for the companies around that want to do their quarterly seminars. Instead of going to the local hotel and doing a lunch and the presentation, they can come to the Ravington and have a really gorgeous space to be inspired by, and the cost will basically be the same than going to the country club or a hotel. So we have a few different facets that we can that we're working with, which is exciting.
So if somebody wants to learn more about the project while it's in development, or to learn more about you, what should they do?
We have our website up and running at theravington.com, and I post a few photos on our blog of the renovation, but the best way to watch this exciting renovation is our Instagram and our Facebook page. So both pages are at The Ravington, and we try to post a picture daily of just something beautiful or something exciting or something weird and annoying. The other day I posted a big picture of our mud hole outside, and basically it's the mud hole that's tying our building to the water main for a sprinkler system, which, by the way, yesterday we blew the whole water main in the city and all of Centerton did not have water for 2 hours, and we so apologize for that.
So those from Centerton who might be listening to
sorry,
this now,
Centerton.
I know why.
Yeah, sorry about it. We blew your water yesterday for about 2.5 hours. So if you follow us at Facebook at the Ravington or Instagram the Ravington, you can watch almost daily the exciting changes that are happening. And for anybody who's interested in taking a hard hat tour while we are under the renovation, I do about 1 day a week. I give some hard hat tours, and I can be emailed at amber@theravington.com. And it is exciting. So people get to come in a hard hat and kind of poke around during this construction in the construction zone, and sometimes not be able to hear anything because we're, using chop saws constantly. But it's exciting.
That's awesome. Amber, thank you so much for being our guest today. We look forward to keeping an eye on the Ravington and the amazing things that you and Eric are doing.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it, and we're having a great time. So thank you, Derek.
You've been listening to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. This interview was designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be. Stop wasting money on marketing and only do marketing that works. Order your copy of Don't Buy a Duck today. If you've ever felt lost, in need of a roadmap, if you ever wanted to get the right folks in the door and dollars in the drawer, you've opened the right book. Order your copy at www.don'tbuyaduck.com today. That's don'tbuyaduck.com.